What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 5, Episodes 21 and 22, The Force of Gravity and the End. So, obviously, this is one of the ones I was looking forward to getting back to the most because, it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's my favorite show. And on top of that, I've managed to somehow avoid any Season 6 spoilers. Like, I've seen certain pictures and stuff, and I've seen pictures of new characters coming in, and I've just pretty much scrolled past it really fast because I'm trying to avoid anything about season 6. I did catch, unfortunately, that Coulson was gonna die. I just saw something about that, but honestly, that wasn't much of a spoiler because I kind of got a sense that that was gonna happen. It felt like that's what the season was building towards. It felt like it was the right time, and when they kept pushing that idea of save Coulson or save the world type of thing, I feel like if they had somehow gone back on that and made it to where they saved Coulson and saved the world, I feel like that would have been a bit of a cop out, and I wouldn't have enjoyed it really. I feel like that would have just made me go, that's too easy to save both. This is way too easy. That's more of a kids show type of thing where we managed to save the world and save Coulson. So that wasn't much of a spoiler. I kind of sensed that was going to happen, but I will say I didn't imagine how it was going to happen. I found that very interesting how all of it played out as far as the timeline is concerned, as far as what decisions were made to change the timeline. Yeah, it was really interesting. Now, there are two things that kind of stand out to me as one is not necessarily a plot hole, it's just not really explaining well enough. And that is they never really talked about what decision was different in this timeline. Because, obviously, it seemed like everything was playing out exactly the same. Like, even moments where they thought they were doing something different, all of a sudden they realized, oh no, wait, this is exactly what happened in the future. And so it seemed like everything was playing out exactly the same. We even saw that one footage of Daisy when she's like yelling at Coulson because he didn't take his serum. We saw her yelling at him just like it looks in the future when it's like, oh, this is the last time that we ever saw Daisy. It looked exactly the same. So I'm like, so what was different now? What changed now that caused Coulson to put the serum in Daisy's gauntlet and use that to stop General Talbot? What was different? What changed? What was the one thing? Because we don't know for sure. Mac and Robin's mom were apparently supposed to die, and then May and Fitz go in and save their lives, and that changed it apparently. And then Fitz all of a sudden gets crushed by rocks. I'm like, wait, so what caused that to change? What decision was made that was different than the future? So I wish they'd explain that a little bit better. Maybe they will in season 6. Maybe they'll talk about it and be like, oh, so this is actually what happened and this is what was different. They probably won't though. And so I just wish they had been a little bit more clear about, oh, this was different. This was something that didn't happen in the future where the world cracked in half. The other thing that's I'm a little unsure of that may be a plot hole, it may not be, is there's the whole thing with Deke. He was talking about earlier in the season how he might just blink out of existence if Fitz's whole thing about the timeline was true, because, oh, well, apparently if the timeline doesn't happen where the future is destroyed and the world is cracked in half, then I'm just not going to exist anymore. That's been shown to not be true in the MCU after the events of Endgame, which, I mean, I would say spoilers, but let's be honest. If you're watching this video, you've probably seen Endgame because you're an MCU fan like myself. So, yeah, in Endgame, it's shown that even if you go back in time and change the events of the past, when you come back to your timeline, nothing is changed because you've actually altered a different timeline entirely. So everything with the Affinity Stones, taking them out of New York and all that, well, nothing changed. It's still the exact same thing. So if it were a case of they changed the future, Deke would still exist because he comes from a different timeline, which means he would not just blink out of existence. And yet, at the end of the episode, it looked like maybe they were hinting that he was still around because Gemma went into, I think it was his room, and found a knife in there. I think that was his knife. I couldn't really. It's been a while, obviously, since I've seen the other episodes, so I don't remember if that was his knife or not. But he was talking to Daisy about how he was going to explore the world because, in case everything did end up getting destroyed, he wanted to see the world before he died. So I don't know if that's where he is right now, or if they're hinting that, oh, maybe he's gone, guys. We don't know for sure. But I guess, he'll come back next season, more than likely, if he's still around. So those are the two things that just kind of stood out to me as like, maybe it'll be good, maybe it won't be. Something I'm a little disappointed in is Talbot and everything they did at the end. Like, I get that, okay, it's not always going to work out. It's not always going to be able to have an easy solution. But I do feel really bad for him. He's a guy that was lost. And they seem to keep saying that. They seem to keep pointing out the fact that, oh, he's just a normal guy who's been lost. And so I thought to myself, well, maybe they'll give him a chance to redeem himself. Maybe Daisy will be able to talk him down for some reason. But then all of a sudden he turns into the supervillain, and you can see he's about to take in Daisy, which is probably how he quaked the world in half in the future. But then she takes out the serum, stabs herself with it, and then manages to fight him off and then shoot him in the atmosphere. And now he's in space, dead. And I'm just like, so we killed him off. I don't know. That just doesn't sit right with me. Like, I feel bad for him, Like, because I wanted to see the team find a way to convince him to stop, to convince him to change. And then they're just like, yeah, you know what? Let's just kill him off. I don't know. I get that, okay, we did try. We gave him a chance. We did have that moment where Daisy did talk to him about, hey, you are a hero. You don't need to do all of this to be a hero. You already are one. And then he, of course, turned around and said, that's exactly what General Hale said to me before she tortured me. So clearly he was already a little too far gone anyway. But I don't know. I hate it for him because it's not like it was his fault that he went through all of this. It was just the circumstances. And General Talbot is a character that, like I said in my previous reviews when we talked about how he had lost it and he started to go crazy and all this was going on. I mean, he's a guy that lost it because of everything that happened to him. And I do feel bad for that. So, aside from that, obviously, let's talk about some of the stuff at the end. Yeah, the show got me. Everything to do with Fitz, it definitely had me bawling. It definitely had me in tears after it showed the thing in his side, and Mac and May realized he was done for, and then all of a sudden he's slowly like you could see him just not even realizing that he's dying. He's just like, oh, I can't feel my legs. Max, you got to get me out of here. Um, Ian Ian is a great actor, and I swear, every single episode, he just has a moment like that just makes me go, damn, he's a good actor. But yeah, it was a really emotional scene. He played it very well. You could see him like shaking and just all the emotion in it. Mac and May's reactions were perfect as well. Um, I thought Robin's reaction whenever the timeline change was perfect. Like her and her mom are going down the stairs. And at first I was thinking, wait, hasn't the timeline already changed a little bit? Because she said she would never see her mom again in that one scene. And all of a sudden now she is. I'm like, shouldn't she have already said something? But then all of a sudden, whenever Daisy is like pulling the thing out of the gauntlet and like about to stab herself, she like stops and her mom's like, what? And just the look on her face, she's like, something's changed. It was a perfect delivery in my opinion because it looked like someone who normally knew everything all of a sudden realized, wait, something I didn't know is happening. I don't know. I thought it was a great reaction, especially from a little girl. I thought that was the perfect reaction for somebody who's considered to be a seer. It was excellently delivered. But of course, they go through this whole thing where Fitz is dies, and then they go back and they tell Gemma the news, and her reaction. You don't even hear any words; you just see the look on her face change. And so, of course, I'm just in tears. They're at the end of it, like Coulson is there, and I'm thinking to myself, he's gonna die too, isn't he? Because he didn't take the serum, and now I'm just like even more in tears. And he starts talking about, guys, come on, this isn't a funeral, this is a celebration. And so I'm sitting there, I'm just like, man, this sucks. Why could you kill Fitz and Coulson in one blow, you jerks? And then all of a sudden, they're doing their emotional speeches, and Simmons is talking about how they can't move on. And then Coulson just says, yeah, I know. I really wish I'd been able to tell Fitz goodbye. Could you tell him whenever you see him? And I'm like in the afterlife? No. They pulled a fast one on me and totally got me in the fields right before they pulled the rung out right from under me and said, "Ha! You just cried for nothing, Mason." Yeah, so of course they bring up the fact that Fitz is in cryo sleep, the other Fitz that didn't get sucked through the monolith through time. And so now they're going to go get that Fitz and bring him back. Of course, there are a couple things about this. First of all, as far as Fitz is concerned, I do kind of wonder, this Fitz is going to be a little different. He didn't go through everything with them. He didn't go through that emotional turmoil of, am I the bad guy or am I the good guy? He didn't experience all of that. So I'm thinking to myself, how different is this Fitz going to be from the Fitz that we had, obviously, at the end of this episode before he died? So I wonder how much of that is going to happen. I think the big thing is, obviously he and Simmons are still a thing, so that it's not going to be like a Gamora Star-Lord type of thing. But they got married, and of course they found out that they had a grandkid named Deke together. And so this Fitz isn't going to know about all that. He's just going to know, hey, wait, you guys were taken, and now all of a sudden it's a few years later, and I missed a lot of stuff. So I guess he'll be happy to know that everything worked out and everything's hunky-dory, but I do hope that they get a chance to show them getting... I assume they're going to show them getting out of cryo sleep, because I just want to see how that exchange happens. Aside from that, obviously Coulson gets his little send-off. They go to Tahiti, of course, because it's the perfect place to go. May goes with him because they did have finally that romantic moment. I love that scene. It was just a little scene, but whenever the guy is sitting there shooting at them, and Coulson just grabs her and they start kissing, and then after the whole thing, Daisy takes out the guy. He's just like, I thought that would shut you up, and she just gives him a look like, oh really? I don't know. It was a perfect Coulson and May moment, and I am sad, of course, that May is going to be there with him whenever he finally goes. He said he only had a few days left. I'm like, man, it's sad. I'm glad we don't have to see it because, man, I don't think my heart could take it after the scene with Fitz at this moment. But aside from that, going into season 6, obviously the team is still together. Aside from Coulson and May, I assume May is probably going to come back after Coulson does finally die. But at least they get to spend their final moments together. But yeah, everybody else is still there, though. They don't have Fitz because he's in cryo sleep, but I assume they're going to go get him. The team does feel more unified because of everything that happened. Because it did feel for a lot of the season like there was a lot of arguing, a lot of split decision because of everything that happened. And obviously the decisions Yo-Yo made, which I still am a little disappointed by how they handled her, even at the end. They did try to explain, oh, well, guys, look, she's just freaking out because she saw everything that happened and everything her future self told her, but she's been telling these people what's going on, and now they're just not listening to her, so she's just upset. But I still feel like they didn't handle her character very well because, first of all, she didn't tell everybody what was going on until way later. And on top of that, even when they did, she just kept making these decisions that you could see was pushing forward the end of the world, like killing Ruby earlier in the season. Clearly that was not a good decision because all that did was push forward General Hale inviting the Kree along and be like, hey, we need your help because S.H.I.E.L.D. killed my daughter. And then, of course, the gravitonium is no longer in Ruby, and I'm like, well, she wasn't the one that supposedly cracked the world in half anyway, so why is Yo-Yo feeling like she just saved the world? So, I don't know, I just feel like they didn't really handle her character very well. They made her seem more whiny and bitchy than they did a character that was freaking out because of everything going on. And then as far as season 6 is concerned, I don't know what's going to happen. Obviously, they have not addressed the blip yet. I don't know if they're going to. Honestly, I feel like I would have seen if they hadn't addressed the blip, and I feel like I would have seen if they had addressed the blip. So I don't know. I feel like you can't kill off half of your characters, but you have to because that's what happened in the movies. So unless they're just doing something completely different, which I don't know how they could because there was a reference to Thanos being on the Earth whenever, you know, they were up in the alien ship. So I don't know how they would do it different. I guess they do have those extra agents on the team. You know, they brought Piper back on board, and then Davis, the pilot, they have him as well. So there's a chance that they brought them on board so that both of them would fade away whenever the snap happened. Because they can't. At this point, it's like I feel like if you kill off any of the main characters with the snap, either you got to jump ahead several years as well and until after the snap happened, or you just got to deal with the fact that, oh no, we lost somebody to the blip and then now we're living in it. I'm curious though. I mean, if they're going to do a storyline where the blip happened and now they are struggling to keep things, I guess, intact after half of the population disappeared, that's interesting. That would be an interesting way to take it. I don't know if they're going to do that. I feel like it would be a weird turn for the season to take to just go, oh, hey, so half of the population disappeared and now S.H.I.E.L.D. is just struggling to survive and struggling to keep things in order. Because we did see, in Endgame that things didn't work out for the best. So I don't know. I'm very curious to see where season 6 is going. Obviously, I'm not going to get there for a little bit, but I'm glad that I finally caught up and found out how the season ended. Overall, it was a very good season. Every twist and turn it took, traveling to the future and then going back and trying to save the world from being cracked in half. I mean, all of that was very interesting, and I love how they handled it. So overall, I was extremely happy. Only a few issues here and there throughout the season. But yeah, that's pretty much my opinions for these episodes. So let me know what you think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts? Did you agree with my opinions of some of the possible plot holes? And what were you looking forward to? Obviously, if you're on season 6, don't tell me anything. But what were you looking forward to the most before season 6 happened? Let me know all that stuff. We can talk about it, discuss, and all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace out.